The autism epidemic.
That's direct from Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the current head of U.S. Health and Human Services.
The autism epidemic.
Sounds scary, right? But should we really be scared? Let's first break down what the stats say. Then we're going to break down 5 reasons for what's happening, including why there is such an increase in diagnosis rates and why you don't need to panic. Here are some hard facts and stats. Autism diagnosis rates have shot up in countries around the world, especially in recent years. We'll talk in a few minutes about why that isn't just happening randomly. But in the US, the CDC just recently announced that 1 in 31 kids now have autism diagnosis, which is up from 1 in 36 kids just 2 years ago. And this is a huge jump from the rate of 1 in 110 kids in 2006. And it's not just in the US. There's a 787% increase in autism diagnosis from 1998 to 2018 in the UK. That's for kids and adults in the UK with an autism diagnosis. And with diagnosis wait times of 2 years or more in many countries, the real number is probably way higher. So why are more people, particularly adults, getting diagnosed now than ever before? Why is this number shooting up in so many countries around the world? And will this trend continue? What's really happening here, people? Let's break it down. Reason number 1, family diagnosis equals more adults realizing they're autistic. Autism runs in families. Studies estimate around 80% is linked to hereditary factors. So when a kid gets diagnosed, parents, grandparents, even aunts and uncles start connecting the dots. I've seen this so many times as an educator. A kid gets diagnosed, and suddenly dad's thinking, wait, I do that too. Grandma's remembering how school was impossible for her, but she just thought she was weird. And suddenly, the whole family has an aha moment, like, oh, a lot of us are autistic. That explains so much. It also explains why a lot of families thought that the quirky things that happened or the odd obsessions were just normal, because it was normal within that family. So if you've had a, wait, are we all autistic moment in your family, you're not alone on that. And it's one of the biggest reasons adults often get diagnosed later in life. Not because they suddenly became autistic, but they understood better what autism looks like when someone else close to them received a diagnosis. Reason number 2, life's demands push people to seek answers. Many late autistic adults don't set out looking for an autism diagnosis. They just know something's wrong. A lot of the time, they're hitting autistic burnout and don't even know it because they don't know they're autistic. They also don't know that autistic burnout can last for months or years. They're often burnt out from masking their autism for decades, but they didn't know they were masking or what autistic masking even is. They go to the doctor thinking it's just life being hard and leave realizing, oh, I've actually been autistic this whole time. This is also connected to reason number 3, which I'll get to in a minute. But this experience of life hitting hard, that was me. I hit a point where I was constantly overwhelmed, exhausted, and just done with trying to keep up. The pace of conversations, the sensory overload that I didn't realize was sensory overload, the difficulties with change and not sticking to routines and transitions throughout each day, which had actually begun for me way back as a kid in elementary school. Back then, I was told I was difficult. So I adapted and figured out how to get good grades and how to fit in, and how to use a sense of humor to hide my constant discomfort. But I struggled inside for so long and ended up with a lot of medical issues, but didn't realize that was normal. So my autism diagnosis was just the missing puzzle piece that explained a whole lot. If that was you too, drop a comment. This is a common experience for late identified autistic adults. And if you're wondering if this is you, I have a free download that can help you if you're just starting this journey. Grab it below in the description. Reason number 3, the DSM-5 changed the game. In 2013 and 2015, the DSM-5 redefined autism. Asperger's, gone as a separate diagnosis. Autism subtypes, all merged into the autism spectrum disorder. And the DSM-5 changes allow dual diagnosis. So autism and ADHD can officially coexist, which they do, a lot. I'm proof of that. Before this, if you showed signs of both ADHD and autism, it was like the diagnostic system short-circuited. Nope, can't be both. Now, doctors, medical professionals, therapists, and clinicians know better. For me, realizing I had both autism and ADHD was like seeing my brain through a whole new lens and re-explain my entire life. Forgetting to eat because I'm hyper-focused on researching a random topic? Check. Brain that is always moving quickly, but then unable to process and keep up with conversations? Also check. My brain is basically everywhere, all the time, all at once, and yet nowhere, because who knows where it goes? Reason number 4, professionals are actually learning what autism looks like. Doctors, therapists, and educators are finally recognizing autism beyond the stereotypes. For decades, it was seen as a childhood diagnosis, so it was much less common to be diagnosed in adulthood. And now, the data is showing this more. Some estimates show that over half of autistic adults, and as much as 75% between the ages of 20 and 49, are still undiagnosed. In the UK, studies estimate up to 96% of autistic people over 50 are undiagnosed. That means most autistic people over 50 are undiagnosed so far. And it's backed up in the comments on our channel here and people who reach out to us. Tons of people who are realizing that they might be autistic. So it's not that they weren't autistic before, it's that no one was looking or understanding. And we're seeing the truth. Autism has always been here, and more people are just finally recognizing it. When I was a kid, autism was basically the stereotype of a nonverbal boy obsessed with trains. No one looked at the kid who avoided eye contact, or the one who silently fumed over scratchy clothes, the one who crumbled her paper when she couldn't get that one line just right, or the one who couldn't eat certain food colors as a kid and later developed really restrictive eating habits as an adult, or the one who memorized entire documentaries about sharks and spewed facts, but stopped when everyone told them it was weird. Wait a second, that was me yesterday. No one used to think, hey, maybe that kid's autistic. But now we know better what to look for, both with kids and adults. We know now that autism can look different for every autistic person. And many autistic people can be highly intelligent, something that is sometimes still left out of the conversation. So there's a lot of autistic people who didn't get diagnosed as kids because they've figured out ways to fly under the radar. And because they didn't look like what teachers or therapists or doctors understood autistic kids to look like. That was me. And there's lots of other people who had the same experience. So now, with better understanding, there's better training for clinicians and doctors. That means greater access. More access equals more diagnosis. Reason number 5, more diagnosed adults equals more awareness. More late diagnosed autistic adults are talking about autism and sharing what was missed. That visibility helps others recognize their own autism earlier and feel like they aren't so alone on this journey. For a lot of us adults, getting diagnosed is about finally understanding yourself after years of thinking, why am I like this? What real benefits does someone get from an autism diagnosis in adulthood? The biggest benefit is better understanding of yourself. Many autistic adults are already done with school, so they aren't getting any accommodations there. A lot of workplaces still have progress to make for accommodating their neurodivergent staff. So a huge reason a lot of autistic adults are getting diagnosed later in life is because we want to understand ourselves and we better understand what autism is. And then the next step for many of us is to use what we've learned to help younger generations. That was part of why we started this channel. We're not here to diagnose anyone, and no one on YouTube can do that for you. But as more adults are being diagnosed, they're speaking up more about their misdiagnosis and what their own experiences are like as an autistic adult, like I do a lot here. And as more autistic voices speak up, it can help more people understand themselves earlier and see other autistic individuals like them. Understand that they weren't alone with their experiences. They just didn't know before. So speaking up can help us find our community and also to reduce stigma around being autistic. And it can show the world all the unique ways that autism can look, which in turn leads to more autistic people sharing their diagnosis too. And if I can help some of the younger generation avoid the struggles that many late diagnosed adults, including me, faced over the years, then I'm happy. So there you have it. 5 reasons why autism diagnosis rates are rising. And it isn't an epidemic of autism. It's that autism diagnosis numbers will keep climbing as awareness grows and diagnosis rates catch up to what's already been there all along, which is a lot of adults like me, always autistic but flying under the radar for decades, even to myself. So weigh in on this topic in the comments. What do you think about the rise of autism diagnosis rates? And if you want to know more about autism, watch this video next.